losing the grip, you get old. Turn to the sea, I don't know how, but you found me. Never too late to get up. Maybe it's not as hard as you think. Some things you cannot change. You feel it but out of range. Your
to do some streaming. Yeah. I'm gonna be working on fixing some issues with Hazel currently, and probably gonna be working on some editor workflow stuff as well, just to make the editor a bit nicer to use. And I'm probably gonna start with making C# arrays persistent, because I discovered during one there that they very much are not. So yeah. And what I mean by not being persistent is if I just go ahead and launch Hazelnut, I'm wondering if I should be doing this in Sandbox projects. Nah, it'll be fine. But basically, if I create a quick test, and if I do an entity, no, I think entity arrays are broken as well, but if I just create an empty one here, I will go ahead and create a quick testing scene. I need to reload. I really should make it so that the engine automatically reloads the script assembly when it's been modified. Array test. And if I add a couple elements, if I reload, it clears it. So we need to actually go ahead and cache that. And the same should be true with entities as well. I may actually implement the automatic reloading today as well. I'm also going to be working with some other stuff, not just scripting. Yeah, it clears it. So, and I think I already know why that's happening. It's because, also let me know if the volume is alright. I had to do some tweaking to the audio setup because I got new headphones. I guess my old ones were trash. So here we copy the old field values, but because we iterate through because we call get value, that doesn't work for arrays. That only works for non-array types. We actually have to call get array and then iterate through all those. persistent, which I did not know. So okay, so this is the scene, this is the entity, this is the field. All this doesn't quite work for arrays. So before scene, entity, field, and if it's an array we need a vector of these value wrappers. Voice and sound is very quiet. Is this a bit better, or is it still quiet? Music is louder, but voice is still quiet. Okay. Okay. Okay, how... Oh well, that looks loud. Okay, now it should be better. Perfect. Cool. Awesome. So, I'm just hoping my keyboard isn't too loud now. Also, why am I iterating through the class fields? Which should technically be we should technically be iterating through the script components field IDs. Although it doesn't really matter because they should be identical, but... Well, no. We do need to do this, I think. Well, do we? Do we use the class for anything else? No, so let's get rid of it. And also, I think... Yeah, no, that has to be a reference, because we are modifying it. If it's not writable... Yeah. Otherwise, we need to check if doing that storage, get type, which is a managed type, is array. I think that's how we check it. Yes. So if it is an array, we put it into the other one, because there's some other stuff we have to do. We have to iterate through the arrays, cache all its values. Managed, well, we can count these two. array. Do I have an index operator for managed arrays? I do. So let's just use that instead. Yeah, that should be good. In here we go through them. Storage bit type. If that's false, we do this. So let's do this instead. Continue. So this would actually initialize all instances, even the ones that have arrays. Because, I mean, yeah, of course it would. But we need to do another pass over the old array values. We don't need to do that, because, well, we kind of need to, but not always. Because if we have a script that just has an array, then we need to initialize it here, because it wouldn't happen up here. But if it's a script that has non-array fields as well, it would initialize here, and we don't have to do it here. So we need to actually check. So get the script component, and we do if is, no, not is runtime is initialized if the managed instance is not, well, if it is null pointer. Now that would have, in theory, recreated the array. So I don't think we need to call set array, we need to get the array and set the values on that. I think. well, we already have field value, which is a vector. So this should probably be field values or array values. Should probably call them the correct thing, and it will have to be a typical range-based for loop. Well, no, range-based for loops is for each, I think. Y is less than set value. The array may not have the correct size though. So let's also do if array length is less than that. We need to resize it to be exactly that. So in theory, I think this should work. What do you think about Rust? I don't really have an opinion on Rust. I think it's nice that we have more kind of low-level languages. From what I've seen of the syntax, I'm not a fan of the syntax itself, but I don't know. I haven't used it, so I can't really say if it's good or bad. Thank you, Gilliam Wibson, for following. Also, I shouldn't have made the change to the managed array header, because now I have to recompile so much stuff. I'm probably going to work on reworking the mesh colliders in Hazel as well, because we did have some issues with those during Let 'em Dare. They should probably be assets instead of having you just modify the like all of the properties per entity. It would also let us do some optimizations internally with PhysX. And I think Tim wanted me to implement so you could shift select entities in the scene hierarchy panel, which is going to be super interesting because I don't think Ent allows you to iterate through entities by index. Well, maybe they do with their kind of views or groups system. Technically, we could iterate based on ID because we sort the IDs. But I'm not sure. Oh, so that's fine. Yeah, Jan went ahead and added some stuff to the LD50 branch. That basically means that if you do a full compile of the entire Hazel, you get an error, but you can still run Hazelnut. Right, let's take a look. In theory, if I reload now, it still vanishes. That's annoying. So it does not hit this. Or is it this? That doesn't work. Okay, if I do a list of, if I do an array of ints, right? Does that work? I wouldn't expect it to work. Hey. Oh, does it not recreate the arrays? It might not. Because in that case, this array doesn't exist. Wait, what? Oh, wait. No. I'm not sure what's going on here. Okay, so that works. Yo, you don't have PTSD from streaming LD. What's up, Emily? Well, I mean, I've basically been completely knocked out for the past week. Yeah, LD definitely took quite a toll. But now I'm back. Which themes are you using on VS? So it's the Visual Assist theme, but I don't have Visual Assist, so I'm using a guy on our Discord server recreated it as just a regular theme. Okay, so if I add a couple elements here, we do 13 minus 20, reload. Yeah, no, still doesn't work. That's annoying. But yeah, Emily, I'm feeling better from LD now, and also we have problems that needs to be solved. So, what is happening here? Oh, wait, hang on. Okay, let's do it. By the way, I might need to steal you later. The new scripting engine has an aneurysm when loading the fragile DLL. Yeah, that's alright. I can probably help you out with that. Let's do this real quick. Also, I need to get my font properly set up, because this is not the font that I typically use. Yeah, I did not think the scripting engine was gonna give you as much of a problem as it has. So I guess we'll have to take a look at that. Thank you, Hydra Vedant, for following. Also, I was planning on stealing my girlfriend's monitor back there, because she's not home and she won't be home for like a week. And I currently only have one monitor, so I might do that as well, so I can have stream up on a different monitor. Because right now I'm checking chat via my phone. Okay, let's run this. Also, I hate launching in debug mode. It's so slow. You need at least 5 monitors to be a real developer. Yeah. The problem I'm having now is my desk is too small to have like 2 kind of big monitors, which is annoying. Load time seems speedy. Yeah, load times in debug are not great. Let's test these. And let's set this to, I don't know, bullet. Do we not have a bullet prefab? No, it's like ammo. Okay, let's just do player. And let's reload. The libhazel.a on Linux is like 1.4 gigs. Wow. That is quite hefty. Okay, so here we have storage. Let's, I'm not sure which one it is. It's the prefabs. It is writable, it is an array. Right, and this is basically pointless. So this should, in theory, be like 1. Okay, what is this? Come on, what's happening here? Like, does not want to step into the... into this. Title is broad. Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna be fixing issues in Hazel, so... Because I have... So right now I'm working on fixing C# arrays, and then I'm gonna be working on mesh collider stuff. So I figured I'd go for a more generic title. Okay. Here we go. 0 and... Is it still the correct array? No. Oh yeah, this is just the element type, but it's the prefab array, so. So it's a prefab, so it should be a reference type. Seems valid. It's class, yes. It's prefab. That is correct. Should have a handle field. Yeah. And so we go and get the value from that. Yeah, that's one. What? So that does not look correct. Well, it's a value buffer, so, but still. Where do we have the memory thing? Well, actually, can I, in here, can I do like expression? So can I cast it to a UUID? Wait, ow. I think I can do this. Potentially. Nope. Of course not. It'd be nice if you could. Okay. Because I want to verify that the value is in fact correct. Let's just do if storage get type native prefab. And that's also about check. Because it should be an asset handle to a prefab, so. This is why I hate debugging stuff with mono, because it's so hard to actually like inspect the values of stuff. Actually, it's possible that the array is not being created when we reload, because in the code we never actually set it to anything, so it should in theory be null. I think that's what's happening here. So it's most likely not this part that is broken. It's probably this part. Because the array may have a length, but still we resize if the length is less than what we have. Meaning it should actually create a new one. But we never assign that. We never actually set the array value internally. We should probably do that. I think that's the issue. Imagine reloading. Yeah. So... okay, that's not what I wanted. Let's set it to player. And reload. Yeah, see, the caching of it is in fact correct. So I suspect the fix is just to come down here and use storage, set array to that, because it will have been recreated, so we need to update it. And we need to give it the instance as well. So I think that's it. And in fact, I trust it so much that I'm gonna run it in release, not even debug it. Okay. Alright, yeah, never mind. That's fine. Yeah, I couldn't actually be bothered fixing this during London Dare because it was stressful. So, player, reload, and it works. I assume it works for all kinds of arrays. It does. Okay. So, I should probably make sure that it actually 100% works by actually, running the code. So, let's just get rid of those. Yeah, no, that's not what I want. I want to do for each. I hate that C# has a different keyword for each. Can Hazel display enums? No. I would like to make it so so we could actually can display enums, but that the thing is, Mono treats enums in an interesting way. And I don't know if that's just Mono or if it's due to how they're kind of implemented in C#. But essentially, an enum is a class for all intents and purposes, and each value in the enum, right? So if I have an enum, say hello and hi, these two are essentially instances. And that makes it annoying to handle them internally in Mono. But I'd like to add that sometime. But not now because I'm sick and tired of Mono. Tired of summer too, yep. Wait, what? No? Tired of summer? No, I'm tired of winter. I love summer. Yeah, you just use the C# method that returns the enum names. That's actually kind of clever. Because C# has like, you can call toString on an enum, and it will return the name. That is actually kind of clever. And I will probably use that when I get to it. log the prefabs handle here. Oh, I just instantly die when it's over 20 degrees. Nah, I hate winter. Summer is the best time for me. I absolutely cannot stand winter. Well, that's definitely something I need to change. What? So the 2-string doesn't actually get cold. Then again, you're in a hoodie. I go outside in a t-shirt when it's between. Yeah, I mean, I'm in a hoodie right now because it's comfortable. It's actually kind of warm in here, but usually I don't mind like going out when it's cold and not wearing a lot of kind of warm clothes. I usually like put on shorts and stuff when it's like 5 to 10 degrees. So why doesn't my 2-string get cold when I call log? Because I use 2-string here on the object and we do override it. So it's just that it hasn't reloaded the core assembly or something. Actually, wait. Right. That's why it's not working. I need to regenerate the project here because I changed where the Hazel core project is referenced. So if I do a build now, it puts it in the correct folder. And it still doesn't work. I guess you're more in the southern part. No. So I'm technically in what's considered northern Sweden. But I'm basically here. So I would not call that southern Sweden. It's kind of the middle of Sweden. Oh. Yeah, more central Sweden. Peter casually DDoSing himself. What's up, Tim? Yeah. Still didn't show an address, though. But yeah, imploded, it's more sort of central Sweden. But the thing is, it is still actually considered the northern parts of Sweden. It's going good, Tim. I've fixed it so arrays actually can persist between reloads. Now I'm just trying to figure out why my asset handle 2-string method isn't being called. Wait, what? Oh, it didn't get saved. Oh, no, wait, it got saved just in the wrong location. I just want to see the auroras at least once in my life. Yeah, it's really beautiful. We do get them here sometimes, not as frequently as kind of the most northern parts, but it's super beautiful. Good, now it works. And it's a valid one. And if I reload, Good. It works. Right. I should probably check that it still works if I explicitly create a new array like this. Yeah, whatever. Thank you Tuesday evening for following. Are you full-time on Hazel? Part-time. But yes, I'm being paid. I work 3 days out of 5 on Hazel. Yeah, you should definitely visit Tromsø. Yeah, that's Norway, obviously, but you could go to Haparanda, which is like right on the border between Sweden and Finland. But I think that's still technically in the pole circle. Or, you could also visit the Try Point, that basically where the border between Norway, Finland, and Sweden meet. Why did it lose its reference? So if I reload this now, okay, it works. Yeah, it works. Cool. Just a road tour through Sweden, Norway, Finland, and then flight to Svalbard. Yeah. Just whatever you do, don't go to Denmark. Nobody needs to visit Denmark. Although they do have cheap alcohol, so that's nice. So, this has now been fixed. So, I'm probably going to merge the editor workflow to master once the LD50 branch has been merged. But I'm going to go ahead and close this either way. But I'll probably close it as part of the actual commit. So, can't assign mesh to mesh collider component when override mesh is checked. Why not? Yeah, you're from Germany, so it's even cheaper with alcohol there. It's kind of funny because Norwegians go to Sweden to buy alcohol, Swedes go to Denmark to buy alcohol, and Danes go to Germany to buy alcohol. Although, to be honest, it's quite common for people from Sweden to just go over to Germany and buy it as well. Because it's just that much cheaper. Let's check. I'm gonna have to mark this as explicit content or something like that, and Twitch is gonna ban me. Draw component, mesh component. So no. Mesh collider component. 5 liters of vodka for 20 euros. Wow. Yeah, 20 euros you get like 1.5 liters of vodka here. I mean, I guess that's probably why it's so popular with why moonshine is so popular in kind of northern parts of Sweden. If override mesh, and that returns true. We go through all the entity IDs, and we set the collision mesh, and we tell them to cook. That to me looks like it should just work. So we do override mesh. It still has one. And if I give it a different one, wait. I know what the problem is. It's because we're checking for mesh only. We're checking for a dynamic mesh, not a static mesh. How long have you been programming for? Since I was 11 or 12, so like 10, 11 years. Although initially it wasn't like any kind of serious programming, it's just messing around with stuff, but still programming. How do I resolve this? Because we can check for either a mesh or a static mesh, but not both. Am I younger than you? Well, depends on how old are you. I'm turning 23. So I'm 22 right now. Yeah, I mean, initially when I started programming, I was mainly like making Minecraft mods. But I think I was programming quite a bit when I was younger. No, I didn't go to school for programming. You're turning 24. You're 1 year older. Damn. No, I didn't go to, I didn't learn programming in school. I'm self-taught, so. See, this is a problem. I could say we take an asset and then check if it's a static or dynamic mesh. I think, but I don't know if that would actually work with the sort of internal system, because we do check. I think we check the type. Yeah, we do t get static type. Do we not have a way of getting both static and dynamic meshes? We have to have that. There's no way we don't have that. Well, we have with conversion, but that's... takes it like that. Yeah, CS is not programming. CS is sort of just computer science in general, obviously. But I didn't take computer science either, because that's not a I think it's technically an elective, but they focus like not on programming at all. It's sort of just general kind of computer stuff, which I don't know. I just didn't think it was worth it. Property entity reference with components, which is not what we want. Asset reference target. Could it be this? Because that still takes... It still does that. I want to get basic... I may have to actually modify some of this stuff. To let me basically just say I want any asset of a given type. CS was mostly a waste of time for me personally. It maybe works for other people though, or maybe it's different at different units. From what I understand, at least when it comes to like the programming part, most universities are not a good option, from what I've heard. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to add a new function for this. So basically let me take in any type. Or multiple. Because the big problem is literally just this bit. Because it checks here. Other units don't do legacy OpenGL. Wow. I mean, I kind of get that because it's, you know, easy to learn and it can teach you like very basic stuff. Yeah, it's beginner stuff. But like I've heard certain units that teach like C++ 03, right? Like the ancient versions of C++ and basically say you have to use this. Damn car alarm. Oh, hang on. We have a version of the asset search pop-up that takes multiple asset types. Okay, is it used anywhere? Yeah, I mean, I think you can never like argue that. Yeah, this is just not used. But yeah, you can't really argue that, you know, OpenGL is modern in any kind of sense, but obviously, you know, there's more modern versions of OpenGL, like 4.5, 4.6, that kind of stuff. Property multi asset preference. I don't know. Yeah, this is gonna be a problem also, because I can't take the initializer list here without requiring the default parameters. Well, I could do this, but that's kind of trash as well because it shouldn't be an optional parameter. Yeah, because the asset types should be required. But is there a way for me to take a like a variadic template type and put that in an initializer list? Does that work? Well, because that, yeah. Because I can do this and just expand it. Alright. So in theory, if I come up here, oh, I don't think I can call the actual like call an actual static method on it without iterating, which I don't want to do. Is this how you do it? I haven't used this kind of syntax in a while. Right, and what are the parameters? The ID, the selected handle, which is what exactly? It's just out handle. Whether it's been cleared or not, a hint. Sure, whatever. What's up, by the way, into X? Nice to see you. Size, yeah, I don't really care about that. You know, if anything, I would have expected this to be first, but obviously that's not possible with initializer lists. And then we have this, I think. Yeah. Thank you, Adiosa, for following. So can I now do an expansion in here? Does that work? And for dropping, we need to iterate. Crap. How do I haven't iterated. Right, let's do this instead. Make sure that's the list. Asset type. I really hope I can do this. If equals type and just break. At that point. Static mesh. Mesh. I assume this works. I don't really like the syntax, but Airbus, what's up? Also, yeah, thank you for following, man. I saw you did that earlier. EggJ123, thanks for following. No problem, I loved watching your game jam with Shurno and everyone. Thanks, man. It was really fun. Okay, what's this? Undeclared identifier. Right. So why do we need this? So my suspicion is that this also checks a type. No, it actually doesn't check the type. Cool. But we still need to know how to interpret it. Because we get the object, we check if it has some flags. And then we get the metadata and get the file path. I mean, I could just say, give me any asset. Right? Asset types undeclared identifier. Yeah, it will be. So let's move that up here. Let's try that. Why don't you define CRT secure thing? I'm gonna do that as well, yeah. We just haven't been bothered, but we will. But to be honest, yeah. Because most of the warnings that gets disabled with that are just like the ones for kind of, f open underscore s, right? So the underscore s, I don't remember what they're called. And we shouldn't be using those either way because they are only Microsoft. They don't work on any other compiler. I don't need to load that. Switch this to A. Mesh collider. And now in theory, if I take a static mesh, such as, let's do barrel. Okay, it did get assigned and it does in fact work. Do we have any dynamic meshes here? Shutter left. Well, okay, that didn't actually work, but not sure why it didn't work, but it did assign it, so I'm happy with that. And we do in fact get all of the correct meshes here. Okay. Now that is technically a bit pointless in a sense because I'm gonna turn mesh colliders into assets so we can reuse them. Aren't the underscore s versions the safe ones? So if you use the underscore s versions, you don't get the warnings. But the thing is, the underscore s versions are only supported on MSVC. They're not supported by pretty much any compiler other than MSVC. So it's when you use the non_s versions that you get the warning, and by defining CRT secure warnings, you disable those warnings. And I think all the _s versions do is like check size. So it's not like a big deal. So this has been fixed as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and push my changes and mark those as fixed. And then I'm gonna probably work either on turning mesh colliders into assets, which I may hold off on doing that until I've spoken with Jan. Or I'm gonna work on shift selecting in the scene hierarchy panel. That's not the right one. Fixed, which 181 and 180. What else have I done? Literally nothing. So let's go ahead and commit that. Alright, that one only got a mention. Did not get it closed. Why didn't it close them? Alright, whatever. Okay. Awesome. You told me GitLab decided to die just now. That is just perfect. There we go. You pushed editor workflow, yeah. GitLab they've been having some real issues as of late. Closing as this has been fixed in the editor workflow launch. Same thing for that one. So that's those two done. Can't really investigate this. It's probably just because they forgot to build something. How many commits does Hazel Dev have in total? Depends on which branch you check. If you check the master branch, I don't know if GitLab tells us how many. Well, I think it does, but it's like in some weird page. Analytics, maybe. 638 total commits on the master branch. And that's excluding merge commits. The LD50 branch has 714 commits, excluding merge commits. Content browser renaming bug. Should really try and go through this. Alright, yeah, this has been fixed in. I'm actually going to go ahead and close this because that's in the LD50 branch now, and that will eventually be merged to master. Closing. I think there's actually quite a few of these issues that have been fixed. This one I'm not entirely sure about, but I think that's been fixed as well, although I should verify that. This has also been fixed. Yeah, that's a different problem. This should not be happening anymore, so I'll close it. Yeah, that's all that stuff. I'm probably going to work on adding shift selection to the scene hierarchy panel, because I think that's going to be quite interesting to implement. Since we now have multi-selection. Because currently you can control select, but shift selecting doesn't work. Now, how would I even go about implementing that? Where do we even handle that? Is the hierarchy an IMGUI table? I think it's a table. Yeah, it is a table. That is not what I want. I want this. So, if we're not holding down left control, we do this. We should probably also do. Should also check the. Well, wait. You can actually do this in C++. You can do not. How did you make the transition from Minecraft mods early on to C++? So obviously Minecraft mods are written in Java, and so eventually I basically wanted to make my own game in Java. And I spent like a couple of years kind of learning all of that, although I never actually released a game. So I just kind of learned the basics. And then I took like a 2-year break from programming. When I came back, I felt that I really wanted to learn C++ because I'd heard, C++ is a really good language for games and game engines because it's, very performant. And so that's kind of how I started learning that. I think I only started like taking C++, actually learning it seriously. I think like 2 or 3 years ago, because that's when I became interested in making game engines. And in fact, I learned most of my C++ from Jan's C++ series. Okay, now if we're holding down shift, we need to check if we have something selected. Right? So let's do else if. With that. And otherwise we're holding down control, I think. Let's just do a quick shift selecting. What kind of resources do you use along the way? What kind of resources do you use nowadays when learning something new about game engines 3D rendering? So I mainly used Jan's tutorials to learn, but when it comes to C++ stuff, but I think a big kind of help was the fact that I was actually able to work on Hazel, which meant that I could spend time working on the stuff that I wanted to work on, like physics and scripting, instead of having to set up an entire rendering system, an application layer, all of that stuff. And I kind of learned as I went. Nowadays, when I'm learning something new about game engines, I mainly kind of look at, well, first of all, I look, in news channels, on YouTube, and kind of try and find interesting technologies. And if I find something interesting, I usually look up documentation, and actually look into the source code to see how it works, to get a better understanding of it. Okay, this still works. But yeah, mainly it was just kind of learning as I went. Okay, we need to actually get an index here, which is gonna be interesting. I need coffee. Thanks for subscribing, following. Sorry. Now I kind of want to get some coffee. Okay. So the problem here is we actually receive an entity. Now, how would I get, you can do on GUI table get row index. Yeah, but the thing is, I need to actually get an index in ent, like in the entity component system. In theory, yeah, I could actually do get row index, I think. But that doesn't let me access other entities by index, because I need to basically loop through all of the entities within the given bounds, I guess. and I also need to get the index of the first selected entity. So basically, if selection manager get selection count for the active selection context is 0, we don't want to do anything. So let's say if it's greater than 0, that's when we actually want to do the multi-select. How would the thing with in IDX work with parenting? Yeah, that's also a good question. Because, so we may... we may want to do something similar to what Unity does, because in Unity they to kind of allow for hierarchy ordering. They basically just store an internal map that maps from like an entity ID to an index. And they may only do that for... I think they handle that in such a way that it works for children as well. But I'm not sure. Because yeah, it would be a problem with parenting. Because a child may have, index 5 and you're trying to select everything from index 4, which is the parent, down to index 20. But of course we do want to select children, I think. But I'm not sure. Okay, let's just... this will return a view. Which takes in the entity ID, like an ent ID. We could in theory use that. What would be the best way? It would be cool if we could have kind of a custom ordered scene hierarchy panel as well. But that could cause problems with parenting, in a sense. Well, because currently the way you parent stuff is literally just dropping it on top. Which would still work, and if I hover, we would need to include some like spacing between the rows. So we could say hover over the spacing up here and move it up there. To be honest, custom ordering sounds like a pain to implement. But that would also make selection a lot easier. Because you would know the order of the entity beforehand, and you could just loop through the order. We could add kind of quote-unquote custom ordering without actually letting you change it. At least initially. Well, actually, this could be simpler than I think. Because we sort the internal list that ent keeps track of by ID. And so in theory, if I get, a view here, get all entities with an ID component, this will be a sorted view. And I think view.contains, we can do we can cast this to an entity, but that also, no, find is what we want. Now we do entity like that, and that will give us an iterator. And what we could do is keep track of the iterator position. Yeah, so I have an idea. I'm just going to try and implement like a very rough version here by having entity selected entity, first selected entity, right? And in here, we simply do that is equal to entity. In here, we would get the view, right? We would find the current entity and the last, also the first entity and this entity. We're doing auto first, you find. This is a very hacky way around it, but because it's sorted and because we draw it in the sorted order, it should be fine, I think. Also last is that, and then we loop through from first to last and select everything with that ID. All right. So for auto it equals first, it is not equal to last. Increment the iterator, which we may have to decrement the iterator sometimes, but I'm gonna start with incrementing. Now, how do I get, so is it a pointer? No, I don't know how to use ent iterators. What's the type? It's an ent iterator. Well, this is not actually the page I wanted. Well, it might be actually. This obviously may not be the best way of doing it, but I just want something to kind of test, I guess. For each. Well, that's not actually what I want. It has a dereferencing operator which returns the ent thing. So if I do this and I do ent entity entity ent ID, right? Then I can do view get ent ID to get our sort of internal ID, JD may be taken, and then we just do selection manager select in the current context the other ID, which is virtually this. Now this may or may not select the last entity, but it should in theory work. So if I select this and do that, this yielded some interesting results. Oh yeah. Which makes perfect sense because those entities would technically be... Right, so we're gonna have to check with parenting as well. We could make sure that the entities we want to select always have the same parent. Because even though this is sorted, like that works for top level entities, so if I do this, or it doesn't. A quick fix could be verifying that they have the same parent. And maybe we manually select all the children if you multi-select to a parent. But the thing is, it may not have actually found Can I do that? Because I don't think it's selecting like the last thing. Which is kind of annoying. So now if I do this, we do get those three, but we also get this, which is where we kind of have to check if it's parented or not, or if it's on the same parent. So that is what I want. And we do if selected entity get parent UUID is not equal to the first selected entity's parent UUID. For now, we do this. We just continue. This should look correct. It may not function the way we want exactly, but it will be mostly there at least. And now we don't get any other selections. Which is correct. Now, the question is, if I do this, do I want the entities of this blacksmith to be selected? I would probably think so. Well, maybe not actually. Also, we need to be able to cancel out of um, dragging and dropping by pressing escape. But that's an issue for another day. So, I don't have Unity installed right now, so I can't check how they handle it. But if I go to Unreal, which I do have installed, this may cause the stream to lag a bit. I'm not sure. But we can check how Unreal handles that. I don't think I wanted this one. Well, maybe it's okay. Because the thing is, if you move a parent in Hazel, the children will move with it. So I don't think you technically need to select the children. Do Unreal even have like parenting in the same way? Yeah. So if I do this and select those, and we expand, yeah, it doesn't select it. And I think that's the kind of system we want as well, which is exactly what we have. So yeah, multi-selection, done. Literally this simple. Although it won't work if you're trying to select in the other direction. We may even get a crash, in theory. Because we probably wouldn't get a crash, but we'll be iterating in the wrong direction. Because if I select door and then gravestone, we do actually get a crash, yeah. Interestingly enough. So, what would be the best way to kind of swap those around? I think this ID could be used. In theory. No, we actually need to keep these as variables. Unity does select the children too. Really? Unity selects the children? Because I would think you wouldn't want that. Because that would mean you would also be editing the children. And if you move the parent, then the children will also be moved with it. So you don't need to select them. Unless you select them explicitly. So that's interesting. You know first. But in theory, if I log, that's how we do it in C#, log info. But yeah, the unit would actually select the children. Like I mean, I guess that's fine if all you're doing is like moving stuff around in the hierarchy. But when you're dealing with multi-component editing, if I do this, I would not want to edit the children of the blacksmith. Right, because if I wanted to do that, I would come in here and select them. So that was 2 and 10. Interesting. But if I do this, we don't even get a print. happening? Should have loaded. But then we have 10 and 2, so we kind of have to check if the first is greater than the last. And if that's the case, we swap them around. Right, so if the first selection is greater than last selection, we want to do new. We do this. And I could create a temporary and then swap them around like that, but this is not any kind of major overhead we need to worry about. This should still work. So do blacksmith, gravestone, boom. Does it work with children? No. It doesn't. And I know why, because we don't sort by the end IDs, we sort by... Wait, what? No, hang on. It's because of how we're rendering. Yeah, that's annoying. Are the children not sorted? What's up, Eddie? So if the children aren't sorted, then it wouldn't work. I don't think. Components, footage. We have a relationship which is a vector. We should probably sort that as well. If you want to select the children, use the GUI table row index, and the next frame you draw the entity, you can check if the current row is within the shift selected range. We could do that as well, to be fair. And that may actually be more reliable, because that relies on the rendering order, not the kind of sorting order. So what we could do is, instead of handling this like here, we would check if this is the case. And if so, we cache the entity that we clicked on, right? Just like we do up here. So we would know the first and the last entity. Or rather, we would know the... Yeah, because we need to know the entity as well. So we would set the first... No, actually, we could do it like this instead. I have an idea. And yeah, you definitely thank you for telling me that, because this is actually a very simple... Although I don't know that the children are... Yeah, no, of course they are. Let's do this. I'm just gonna check. This real quick, because I want to verify kind of that the row index is what I expect. It should be, since it's being rendered correctly, but so if I click here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if I expand this, this becomes 5, and this becomes something else. So we'd also have to check. Yeah. This will work. Thank you so much, Bojo Sos, for saying that. So we would, instead of storing the first selected entity, we would store, what is it, like a, what does it return? It returns a 32-bit signed integer. First selected row, we'll set that to -1. And we'll do last selected row is -1. Right, and then when we click here, we do as first selected row is equal to that. Yeah. Then when we do this, we do last selected row is equal to that. And then probably like at the very top somewhere, after the row has been kind of initialized properly, here, thank you for unnecessarily adding comments, Visual Studio. So we do if row index, if the row index is, but it also kind of depends on if, so in here I can do a check. I can do, because we know the row index, so we can just do equal to row index. And here I do if row index is greater, no, if it's less than the first selected row, we need to do a swap, right? We need to set this to be the first, and we need to set the first to be the current one. Otherwise, we just do this. Yeah. Then up, because that will let me check. I think that means I can always check for wait. Yeah, because that way I can check if the current index is greater than the first and less than the last, no matter what. Alright, so if this is greater than the first and it's less than the last selected row, and we aren't already selected, and now selection manager is selected. Do I have my ID somewhere that I can just use? No, I don't. In that case, we do selection manager, select this. What? What is it unhappy about? Oh, right, we need to provide the selection context. Right. We then need to make sure that we reset these to -1 when any other selection is made, I think. So when you click and yeah, how would I actually do this? Well, no, it's probably fine. I was thinking we'd be forced to like set them to -1 or something like that. But we probably don't need to do that. So, okay, and I'm gonna have to make sure if it's less than or equal to the last one. And also, yeah. So, if it's greater than the first, because that should always be selected, although it may not be. So let's say if it's greater than or equal to, and if it's less than or equal to. That should be fine. Because you can imagine if we hold like shift, that should, yeah, that works. That works. If I, okay. If you're not holding down shift and you click, we need to clear the last one. We need to do that and do this equal to -1. If you're holding down shift, first should be selected, and we then set the last. And if you control click, we just add it, no matter what. Although I guess we could still set them to be not that. So that works. Now that still opens that, which is interesting. Why? So okay, I'm gonna have to fix that. But if I do this, do that, hey, okay, I'm gonna have to fix that like right away because it should not be opening. Where do we do that? Because the interesting thing is, it's here, I think. Hang on. No, that's when you begin pop-up. Where is this handled? Because this is if opened. Yeah. Which checks that, meaning this is wrong, because this would still be, but a descendant shouldn't be selected. Right? What I may do is just move it down there or something. Because a descendant isn't getting selected. So that code might be a bit flawed in how it checks. Maybe? Okay, that works. And expanding that works. Good. And if I click, that works. if I control click on, say, these, it adds them without changing anything, which is correct. Escape. See, escape needs to make sure we set these. Although arguably these should be members, because we do have the prefab editor, which uses this class as well. So first selected row, last, and then we need to update where we're handling escape. Well, we should also go and do here selected, which means we do need to do this. First selected row anyone. I think you should also deselect when shift is pressed. Yeah, we should probably do that as well. Are we not handling this? Are we handling it in editor layer? Because that's going to be so annoying. Yeah, we are. Okay. So I need to make it so that this is also notified. Escape. And I probably don't want this to handle it, because we can't guarantee the order. But in theory, this should work. I think also, yeah, if we need to call this as well, because this could run beforehand. Actually, no, I think it should be fine to do this. Deselect when shift is pressed. Things like that, yeah, that should be fine. Because on the next frame we would select the first row again if it's been deselected. So it should be fine to do that. That works. Escape deselects. Although I'm not sure. So you think that if I do... So here's the thing, if I do this, it just extends the selection, right? Is that not how it works typically? Yeah. So I'm not entirely sure I understand what you mean, Bojo-Sos. That's not easy to pronounce. I think you should also deselect when shift is pressed in order to select smaller ranges. But like, you can already do this. You know, you can select like anything you want, and it should even work here. But now if I do this, it will select those. So, I mean, this is behaving pretty much the way I'd expect it to. So that way, for an example, if I... Where do we have the trees, right? If I wanted to select all trees, I could just literally do this. Hey, that's not working anymore. So wait, you can't... there's a limit. What? Okay, that is weird. That is very strange. Like, I can't shift select this one for some reason. So the row index would be greater than that, meaning it should set this here. Does it only deal with the rows that are visible or something? Because I can, yeah, and even like control clicking on this doesn't work. There's something weird with the, in fact, I can't select it at all. It might not be a real entity. You're saying we have fake entities, Tim? We actually have fake entities. There were issues with that being one rendered that wasn't there. What? We have a fake entity? Okay, I'm gonna have to... Or it is, and you couldn't... Yeah, but if it's a real entity, then you should be able to select it. So it's a fake entity? That means... That's why I think that is... Yeah, I don't think it is. Because if it was a real entity, you could select it. I mean... So what? Why is that? So, okay, why would it be that you couldn't select an entity? Because we're obviously rendering this bit. Am I getting anything in the console? No. And is selected is literally just that. Okay. Use the ImGUI demo window breakpoint tool and check its ID. Yeah, but I'd have to still kill the application no matter what. But I could. But the thing is, it's not an ImGUI issue, most likely. What I imagine is happening. Well, it must be. Because it means is row clicked is returning false, which means the ID okay, I'm gonna have to kill this and let's check. Let's show the demo, because it has to be that the ImGUI button behavior function returns false, which could mean that the ID is not correct. So, tools. Is it the stack tool? Let's have that over there. So if I expand the trees, we scroll down to the last tree, which I still can't select. Okay. I mean, okay, that's not really helpful. Metrics debugger. Tables. We have the scene hierarchy panel. Which also doesn't seem helpful. Okay, what I can do instead of showing this, you can use the metrics debugger item picker to breakpoint. Really? I had no idea that this was actually a thing. So, item picker, there we have it. Alright, so okay. Let's do... so I can just click on this while using the item picker. Click, and it will break it. Now I am currently in release, which is not really useful. Because the entity exists, because otherwise this name would be unnamed entity, because, well, the entity wouldn't exist in the end thing. Thank you, Cashin SH, for following. And we did in fact click on it. Alright, so hover returns true, and I have clicked. Which it does in fact register that we clicked. So that is not, that is 0, and this ID is, okay. But somewhere this returns false. Because pressed is false. Okay, so why is pressed false? Or rather, where is it set to true? This is not helpful. So for some reason, it's just for this entity. Alright, now if I go in here, yeah, because here it works. Maybe it's a matter of like how many children an entity has and it gets messed up. It is only that one tree and every thing is I can select the lost children here. Which is why I'm kind of thinking maybe it's a problem with how many children it has, because this has, quite a lot. So it doesn't make any sense why this particular one cannot be selected. So this is from what I can tell, the only entity that we can't actually select. And I mean, this looks fine to me. Because when I click on this, we get pretty much the same thing. So yeah, I don't know what's going on there. But for some reason this returns false only for that one. You can hover over it and that value also comes. Yeah, because obviously if I'm hovering over it, we get it from here, from the same call. But that's just like to let us allow item overlap, pressed on click release, because it's on release and it is that way for a specific reason. I think, yeah, it is, because we only want to select on release because otherwise we like dragging wouldn't work. So I have no idea what's happening here. And the thing is, it's persistent as well. So Does it have this? It has the same ID maybe. Because when I use the navigation thing to select this one, if we could stop clearing it. Okay. It also marks this one as selected. So it has the exact same ID. Let's return that to be false. Which means it has the same. Because in entity, when we cast to a 32-bit integer, it's the entity handle, which is. So it's the same entity or some crap like that. Which means, do we have an entity ID collision? Wait, no, but this is the one we get from ent. So it has the same ent handle, but not the same UUID. That doesn't make any sense. If I use the RUUID instead, then that might actually fix it, but it's still. Because if they have the same ID, then the same ent ID, then that should cause problems elsewhere as well. So in theory, I should be able to select it. And I can. Okay, that's interesting. Which tree gets highlighted? That one. Right. Because it was one of the tree 2 stuff. Just checking if we get the same tree. We don't. So I guess ent is just fine sharing this. Well, I guess maybe ent could potentially use multiple kind of lists or maps for keeping track of entities. And in the end, I don't think it strictly matters too much, because I don't think we serialize that entity, like that value. We only use our UUID. Okay, I mean, it's fixed. So, yeah. That's interesting. So yeah, now we can select all trees and... Yeah, oh yeah, the outlines are still kind of messed up. But yeah, shift selection now works. Although there's this weird thing where they're rendered kind of on top of this the table header, which we may want to fix. Okay. Whatever, I fixed the problem. So let's check here. We do that. Then here we do this. Okay, that's bizarre. Let's not push that. In fact, I can go ahead and disable it. What will happen when you move a parent and its child? Will it move twice as fast? Possibly, because the child would be moving relative to the parent, but the parent is moving relative to the world, which is also being applied to the child. So technically, if I just make a little test, let's add a skylight and a directional light, which disable the fog. In theory, if I create a cube and I create another cube and I select both of these, yeah, you can see the child does move twice as fast, which is kind of expected. And then shift selection to scene hierarchy. Panel. And cool. So I fixed that. Anyway, again, the whole entity ID thing could conceivably be an issue elsewhere if we in fact use this for IDs, but we shouldn't. But we should always use our UUIDs because, well, most of the time at least. So I think, where are you from? You sound a bit Nordic. Yep, I'm from Sweden. So I am indeed Nordic. I think if I update that to be say 8 or 10, we should have a bit more space for right clicking, potentially. No, we don't. So yeah, now we have a bit more space, but we may want it to be even more actually. Well, I mean, you can technically right click. Yeah, we definitely want a bit more space, I think. Yeah, I think that's a bit more acceptable. Added some padding to the right hand side of entity rows so that it's easier to right click in the panel instead of on the entity. Okay, so should I start working on the one more improvement that we need is better collider size and offset editing. Copying and pasting. But ideally, it would be possible to reset the values without manual typing in the float. Yeah. Better collider size and offset editing. Copying and pasting the contents. Yeah. That would be very useful. I mean, I think in general we need better copy pasting for all components, which in theory is not actually too difficult. We could, well, because we could essentially store a separate registry, like an end registry here, right, as copy registry. And when you right click and copy on like a component, we create a dummy entity with that component, because that would create a new copy of the component. And then you would simply, when pasting, you would just copy the component from this registry over to the main one. So I may want to work on that as well. I kind of want to make as many editor workflow improvements as I can before, like within the next 2 weeks to a month, because after that I'm going to be starting working on a different system. Well, on a new system, actually. Although I don't know if I can say what. Because Jan might not want me to tell people yet. Work on making mesh colliders assets. Well, it's not technically an editor work. Well, it is sort of an editor workflow thing. But I think I want to have a chat with Jan about it first. So maybe we should start working on the copy pasting of components. Although it would obviously be nice to be able to like right click here and copy these values. Potentially, which in theory we could do very simply by, well, because currently the transform lets you copy and paste. We should be able to do that for all components. So we could have, by the way, selection order will matter when dragging a parent and child together. It will. I'm not entirely sure I understand exactly what you mean. Like if you select both a parent and a child, you mean? Or do you mean if you select an entity that has children and it's like multi-selection? Well, I mean, I guess maybe it could be an issue if you select the child and then the parent. Oh. Because if I select... Now, in theory, this could actually be a problem. Because if I do this and say drag it here, we end up unparenting all streetlights, I think. Let me reload the scene and give that a go again. Okay, so if I do this and drag, say, here, yeah, it unparents, which I think if you have the parent selected, it shouldn't unparent, in theory, because that could cause problems. Not what I mean. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what you mean, to be honest. Because if you just drag a parent, that's fine. If you drag a child, well, then you're gonna be reparenting it. Interesting that. Why did that unparent it? Like if I drop it, like here. Okay. So is there like a tiny gap you can drop it into unparented? But yeah, also that is a problem. We need to check if its parent is currently selected as well. Potentially. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure I understand what you mean with selection order and parent and child dragging. So in theory, this should no longer... Did that still unparent it? It did. I meant moving them around the world. Oh. Yeah, that shouldn't, like, selection order doesn't matter for that at all. So that's not an actual problem. Is it like reparenting it or something? That is a weird bug. Well, I can't really be bothered dealing with that right now. Either way. So let's add a registry, copied components, copied component registry. So we create that. Then I'm gonna want I think in here we have a copy component. Yeah, we have these. Which I think we actually have duplicates of those in prefab. Well, we have the duplicate of the copy component if exists, which takes destination entity, destination registry, the source, which is this, and this just copies between entities. We may want to put these in a utility file, to be honest. While front is less than threshold, viewers minus minus. While font is less than threshold. Yeah. Let's just steal this one. For now. I can't be bothered making a proper abstraction. Let's just hide that. Then probably redo draw component. Draw components. Because I think this is where we're handling is it? No, it's draw component. Yeah, because right now Jan is doing a bit of a hack here. Which we don't want. If, well, we don't need an if. Actually, we do want that. Well, no, because this is going to work a bit differently. So when you copy it, we want to do copy component if exists to component. We want to copy to is this in a really? And I think I can access that. From and then the registry. Do we have a way of getting the registry itself? No. Let's see, in hierarchy panel is a friend. But that won't matter here, I don't think. Maybe copy component if exists should be a part of the scene as a method instead, because I think, yeah, here we do MC and M registry. So it may be better to have a public here called does that, and we don't need a source registry. Because it will be doing if our registry has it to do that. Wait. Yeah, that's causing problem. Copy component. Because this now becomes the same as this. Effectively. So where do we want to copy? This is copying between entities. But we could literally do the exact same thing. There. This will achieve the exact same thing. Because we're copying from our registry to our own, but to different entities. So that gets rid of that one. What does this one do? So it copies all components from the destination to the registry. It copies. Does this copy all entities? No. Oh. Yeah, because this copies all components from all entities in one registry to another one. That's fine, I don't think we need that one. Over here we're copying from our registry. No. What are we doing here? I'm gonna have to look at the original code. It's this one. So we're copying from our registry to the prefabs registry. Well, that's fine, we can just do that, I think. Because that way we're copying, wait, what? Yeah, we're copying to the new entity from this entity, and this is the kind of, no, this has to be the source registry. So let's add an optional one that takes in the source registry as well. Destination registry, source. But we're copying from our registry, right? No, we're copying from the prefabs registry. But that means we in theory can just do this. We can do that and not pass that in. And do this instead. Because that way we're copying from the prefabs registry into the new entity, from this into M registry, right? And this would check, yeah. Although arguably, so that means we don't even need this. And I think this looks more correct, if anything. Okay, I'm not going through and changing that, so let's make the order be this. The destination entity, the destination registry, and then the source entity. Which then messes this one up. But I think that's... I can just do this instead. We take this, move it there. Okay. So how does that work in here? We copy to the new entity in there from the entities registry. Okay, but that's simple because we can just do this then. Again. We do that, and the order was not like this. It's this, I think. Because that way we're copying from to entity and our registry from that. Which means we can get rid of this one. Cool. And that means we don't need our own version of this. Instead, we do copy component if exists. And the source entity being this. Hazel just means we could create an entirely new scene instead of manually storing this kind of stuff. So basically, instead of having this, we do what prefab does, which is store a ref scene and component copy scene. And component copy entity. We need to create an entity. Create just a random entity. Name doesn't matter. This is a little bit different. Cost this. Yeah, this still won't work quite as the way I want, because we need to get the actual registry from the scene. Like, maybe we should just have a way of doing that. Or maybe we should just have a static here that lets us copy between scenes as well. Copy component. Which takes the destination entity the destination scene, the source entity, and the source scene. I think I like that a bit better. Because this would basically do the exact same thing, except we would do if source scene and registry has. And we would do destination scene registry. We would do that instead of this. We probably still want this version that kind of copies from our registry, which we could even use that here by saying source scene copy if exists, right? Because the idea is we need access to the destination scenes registry. I think I like this quite a bit better. Because that means in here, we wouldn't do this. We would do scene copy from, and it's two components. The destination being this source entity, and the is what scene are we copying to? Do we have the entity scene somewhere? Oh yeah, it's this. Because this copies to these from this, right? And then when it comes time to paste, we do the opposite. Is this the game engine from the journal? Yep, that's correct. Pizza service. It's Hazel. In theory, this should now just work. Assuming everything compiles. Cannot access private member. Coming from... It's private? First of all, it's not a member, but it shouldn't be private either. Yeah, it's public. So what's up? Oh, I know what's happening here. It's because these two are private. And this is not, this is a static. Why is this a static? It seems kind of annoying to have it be static. But otherwise we'd have to write all of this code in the header. Which may or may not be fine. It could be simpler to just... One second. It could be worth making this be a member function, because I don't think there's actually a need for it to be static. Although I'm not sure we have access to this UI stuff in the header file. I could, of course, just make like accessor functions like I did with the scene context and other stuff. I don't know. Let's maybe try and make it a member function. We're using Vulkan. We used to support OpenGL, but we got rid of that because, well, it doesn't fit well with OpenGL doesn't really fit well with multi-threading and that kind of stuff, but Vulkan does. I hope we have access to these in the header. Otherwise it's gonna be painful. Am I a game developer? Well, I mainly focus on game engines. But I do know how to write some gameplay code. And if it's not clear, I am actually being paid by the journal to work on Hazel. Line 197, you get 2 arrows. I do. Thank you for catching that. Black Harry. Again, I have no idea if this is actually going to work in the header. It almost certainly won't. Although I might be able to make it work. Before I go and change everything, let's check if we get compiler errors. Thank you, Pizza Service, for following. Much appreciated. How do you get in touch with the channel? Well, depends on if you join his Discord server, then you may get a reply. Otherwise, he's got an email. Okay, so it looks like this is gonna work. It would be nice if we could use some reflection system to draw the components, but don't think we can. Let's see if it compiles now. Okay, so we can't find these. So where are those? Where's that defined? Inside our GUI header. Which I don't think we want to include in the scene hierarchy panel header. So may just steal this real quick. This obviously isn't great, but thought that was a real error, it isn't. Well, it seems to be working. And I'm much happier having the draw component function be a member instead of having it be static in the CPP file. Well, it didn't work. No matching overloaded function found while compiling with that. Hey? What? Okay. Where are these errors? So many warnings. Here we go. Coming from... Right. I missed it. Cool. Yeah, whatever. Expects 4 arguments, 3 provided. Copy component. Copy component from or to registry. Well, I don't want to change that. Copy component from scene if exists. Copy component if exists from scene. Copy component from scene. It doesn't like the fact that we have the same name. I think. Still doesn't work. Oh wait, I forgot to update the call-in scenario panel. I think that's it. Yep. So it's copy component from scene. We're using this in... Wait, what? Sorry, what? Don't you need T component? Insig Shy Guy, thanks for following. Did I forget to provide... Oh, I forgot to provide this. Yeah, good catch. That might be it. If I manage to get this working, I'm probably gonna end the stream after that and have something to eat. I might do a stream later tonight as well, if I feel like it. But yeah, I'm gonna have to get this working first. So, in theory, if I go in here, let's go and save the scene. If I create a cube and say move it over there, I duplicate it and move over there. Thank you, assertive dilettante, for following. If I copy it copied the transform component. If I change this one to use tree and I copy and paste, we can now copy and paste components. Oh, that feels so nice out. And we should probably now the thing is, if I say copy the box collider here, thanks Magetsubi. Now if I say copy this box collider, it shouldn't matter where I paste it here. If I do this, paste, oh, right, yeah, it still has that. Do we want that? What's up, Echo? Just call me Magetsul. Alright. The question is, do we actually want it? Because currently, if I copy this, doesn't matter how many components I copy after that, that will still remain copied. So I assume we want that to be persistent. so you don't have to like continue copying and pasting stuff. Yeah, I think that actually works the way I want, because if I copy this mesh component and I want to paste it to say 50 other entities, we'd want that to kind of work. So I think this behaves pretty much the way I want it to. Now, of course, if you just want to copy, say, the offset, well, currently you can't do that because that's kind of annoying to implement as well, but we probably want that in the future. So kind of right click on the offset and copy just that. But yeah, we have component copying. Awesome. And we did some nice cleanup as well. I should probably verify that prefabs still work. Also, if you hear a bunch of noise in the background, that is one of my cats jumping into my PC box. Ah, yeah, see? Doesn't quite work, does it? Oh. What's the situation with Undo Redo, by the way? Have you considered doing history by serializing the scene into YAML and non-serializing it? So, there was someone, I think her name is Charlotte, who was working on an Undo Redo system. But I think she basically said that she's gonna hold off a bit on that until the Ludum Dare until the Ludum Dare branch is merged to master. Yeah, I mean, we're probably gonna do what I have done now, where we just create a new scene and kind of use that to store old data. In theory, we could obviously serialize that to a file later on if we want the undo redo history to persist between sessions. But we haven't really considered that yet. So I think the reason why this doesn't work is because I don't have the... Wait, I definitely saved this file. So why... Oh, wait. No, I did save. I'm just a bit dumb. Yeah, so the reason why this isn't working is because I don't have the correct file. It's super annoying, and I'm gonna have words with Jan about it, because basically you have to have a folder called forest inside of Hazelnut with these files in it if you want to play the game in the editor, which is super annoying because there's no way to generate that file in the editor because it's game specific. So in theory, this should make it so New Village works. Although I don't know what's up with the audio being completely messed up. I might just go and mute Hazelnut for now. So I don't have to listen to that. And yeah, I mean, this should work exactly the same with the new copying methods. If I go and create a sphere, sure, I want a cube, because we actually have a mesh for it. I'm gonna have to verify that making prefab still works. And it does in fact seem to work. Yeah, it works. Cool. Not what I wanted to do. So yeah, everything seems to work as it should. Okay, that's a weird function to have. in theory, we could use the static method here. I basically just posit the seed instead, but I think this is fine. So yeah, we now have a copy system working for components. Some pretty major changes. Satisfying commit, yeah, it actually kind of is. Lots and lots of identical changes essentially, and we got to clean up some methods. Added component copying. It's now possible to copy entire components. All components, not just the transform component. And that actually reminds me, there is one more thing I need to clean up, which is this. Not sure why window bounds is static, but sure, let's go for it. Cool. This should still work just fine. Yep. This error isn't. It's temporary and it only has to do with the new launcher, game launcher. Cool. Okay, well, I'm gonna probably end the stream here and have some dinner. We'll see if I stream anymore today. I'm not sure what I'd work on because I kind of don't want to start on the kind of mesh collider asset system until I've spoken with Jan about it. So I probably won't be working on that yet. And it would be on a separate branch either way. Let's see if I remember the key. Yeah, that's the one. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream. Bon appetit, great stuff. Yeah, we now have full-on component copying. So you can have fun with that later, Tim. But yeah, so I'm gonna head out, have some dinner. Maybe stream tonight. Not sure. We'll see. So yeah, have a good night, I guess, and see you guys later. Bye.